Hello, my name is Connor Davidson, and today I'll be talking about alkanes and nomenclature. Today I will discuss the 1 through 10 carbon alkanes and also the rules of nomenclature. In order to understand nomenclature, we have to know these alkanes, the 1 through 10 carbon chains. So the first one, as you see, is methane, followed by ethane, 2, 3 is propane, 4 is butane, 5 is pentane, 6 is hexane, 7 is heptane, 8 is octane, 9 is nonane, and 10 is finally decane. Now you see for methane and ethane that you don't see a skeletal structure except for this is the methane one because it's just one line since it only has 2 carbons. You have the carbon right here and the other carbon right here. With methane it's just a dot because it's just the one carbon. So you have to draw out the structure for methane and then you can just do a condensed form for ethane. However, when you get to propane, you notice that this is where we start all the skeletal structures because we have enough carbons to do so. Now, let's go into nomenclature. Before we start throwing names on certain compounds and whatnot, first we have to go through a few rules for nomenclature. Here are all the rules written out from A to C with what you need to do in order. So for the sake of time, I will explain each step as we go along with this example right down here. So the first step is to find the longest chain. So that's just going across the whole thing and figuring out what's the longest chain. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as we learned earlier, 7 is heptane. So that will be the base of our name. Now we have to begin at the nearest first branch and figure out what numbers we will have to assign to the group. So we'll start at the left just because. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we hit our first group, so we stop. Now we have to count from the other side to see if we get a lower number because you want lower numbers for each group. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it's the same. So now we have to figure out, are there 2 or more groups of the same carbon? Well, yes, we've got 2 methyls, 1 methyl and a second methyl. So if that happens, then we have to use di, tri, or tetra in the name to signify that there's 2 of the same one on each carbon. So for this case, since we only have 2, we'll use di. Now we'll write out the whole word, or the whole name, without any capitalizations, and we have to add the prefixes alphabetically. And that means if you have a methyl up here and an ethyl like this, then you would put the ethyl first in the name, then methyl, just because it's alphabetically. So, since we had the assigned number 4 to each group, we have 4, 4, because we have 2 4s of this group, dimethyl, because we have 2 methyls, and then heptane, which is the name. So that's it, 4, 4, dimethylheptane. Not that complicated. So in conclusion, we talked about the 1 through 10 carbon alkanes, the rules of the nomenclature surrounding them, and a few examples of nomenclature itself.